Let's talk about nutrient quality a little bit more and get into some of the examples of nutrient quality foods. So let's start from the top. In a lot of nutritional circles these days, you may hear like red meat's bad for you and like all these things. And it really comes down, and most of these things are going to come down to the quality of where the food's coming from. So when we're talking about meat and stuff like that, we're talking about how's the animal raised, what was it fed, how is it treated, right? And so we really want to focus on that when it comes to like the sourcing of the food. And we talk about the quality of the nutrition, because that's really going to dictate the nutrients that are going to be in there, right? So we want to focus on nutrient quality. We want to look at the sourcing of the food. And we're going to break this down in multiple different ways here. So let's start on the top. Let's talk about red meat. And we'll talk about grass-fed, grass-finished beef, okay? I really want to emphasize the finished part, because you can go to a grocery store right now and you'll probably find grass-fed beef, but it might not be grass-finished. And so what that means is the cow or the red meat source was fed grains before it was killed to then be put into the store, right? And so it's still being fed the GMO grains that is not really designed for a cow. Cow are meant to live off the land. That's where they get the nutrients from, which is how we also get the nutrients from the cattle. So we want to search for grass-fed, grass-finished if we can. You can find this stuff online. Piedmontese Steak is my favorite place. If you want to let me know, I can send you a link to that. But grass-fed, grass-finished beef is where we want to go. If your grocery store only has grass-fed, that's cool too. It's better than nothing. The key here is really doing the best you can with what you got, right? So if you can't afford the extra couple bucks that it would take to get grass-fed, grass-finished beef, go for grass-fed. You know what I mean? Do the best that you can with what you got, okay? The better off the quality of the sourcing, the better off you're going to be. But at the end of the day, you got bills to pay, you got things to do. Do the best that you can with what you got. Next up, let's move to like poultry and eggs. Pasture raised and organic if you can. So let's kind of talk about this for a minute, because there's there's conventional eggs, there's free range, there's pasture raised, and there's one more, cage free. And so I might butcher this a little bit, but if I remember correctly, conventional means that they're just, look this stuff up if you guys are interested, but there's chickens basically on top of each other in a shed, and they lay the eggs, and that's it. And they're fed genetically modified crops to keep them alive. Cage-free just means that they're still in this shed, but they're not in a cage anymore, but conventional is. Free range means that they have the ability to go outside for a little bit in like a fenced-in yard, but it doesn't mean they do. And pasture-raised and organic, you can get pasture-raised or pasture-raised and organic. So it's pasture-raised or the combination of the two. But pasture-raised and organic is going to be your best bet, because not only are the chickens going to be fed organic food, but they're pasture-raised, meaning they not even have the ability that they run around, they graze the land, and they get nutrients from the land that they are on. So the best bet when it comes to poultry, whether you're buying chicken or you're buying eggs, pasture raised and organic. But again, do the best you can with what you got. So if you're going to get cage free, if you're going to get pasture raised, that's cool too, okay? That's totally cool too. Next up, we're going to talk about fish. Talk about seafood. We want wild caught fish. You're gonna find a lot of farm raised fish in grocery stores these days. You're gonna have to look a little bit harder for wild caught, but this is gonna be your best bet, because these fish aren't gonna be fed, again, genetically modified food to keep them alive. The reason they do this is so it's more sustainable, but realistically, it's probably doing more harm than good. So we want to search for wild caught fish so we can get the omega-3 fatty acids, less mercury, and the things that we don't want in our body, right? So wild caught fish. Now let's go to like fruits and vegetables. Where you can, go organic, local, and seasonal. That's going to be your best bet. Now, again, nuance. There's situations where that doesn't necessarily matter, right? So we have the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. These are two lists for crops that you can go ahead and look online right now. And the clean 15 are going to be 15 crops that you do not need to buy organic, because they probably have some type of casing, a shell, something like that, and they're not sprayed as much. So the nutrient quality is still going to be there. They're not going to be filled with pesticides and herbicides and all that stuff. So it's just going to nourish your body. So like things like avocados are going to be on there. I think bananas are on there. Don't quote me on this. I don't know off the top of my head. these things with shells, we don't have to worry about and concern ourselves with as much. Whereas a dirty dozen are things that don't have the shells, that don't have the casing. They are highly sprayed with herbicides, pesticides, and stuff like that. So I know white potatoes are on there, strawberries, apples, things like that. You might want to go more organic. But again, the best you can do with what you got. If you have the opportunity, shopping local is going to be your best bet. One, you get to support local government or local economy, all those things. But then more importantly is you can determine how it's raised, how it's cared for, how the land is cared for. So you have a little bit more of a say in that. And then last but not least, seasonal. When it comes to these things, like if you think about it, you know, if it's January right now as you're watching this and you're trying to prepare your meals for the week, you know, bananas aren't seasonal. But like you can go into a grocery store and find them right now. And those bananas are telling the cells in our body something specific, that it's a tropical place and it's the middle of the summertime, when in reality it's not, right? So we want to shop seasonal as best we can. That means that the nutrients are going to be there in the crops. They won't have to be shipped across the country. And it'll be most likely the most bioavailable, meaning your body can use the nutrients right away. And last but not least, we want to talk about grains and legumes and even nuts. You want to shoot for, and these are going to be a little trickier to find, but sprouted grains, legumes, and nuts. So sprouting is just a process they go through after they grow the crop. I don't know the full nuance of it, but what I do know is when they're sprouted, it's easier to digest. So the sprouting process removes a lot of the plant chemicals that may not agree with our body all that well. So if you can get sprouted grains like sprouted brown rice, sprouted legumes like beans, black beans, chickpeas, pinto beans, red lentils. If you can get those sprouted cashews, sprouted almonds, you're gonna be the best bet. You're gonna set yourself up the best here. But again, the objective here is do the best you can with what you got. No matter what, you want to shoot for whatever you can here. If you can get pasture raised, cool. If you can get pasture raised organic, cool. If you can get wild caught fish, great. If you can get some local seasonal vegetables, even better. But if you can only find like organic ones at Walmart, like that's cool too. Do the best you can with what you got. The nutrient quality is going to be super important. But as long as you're eating whole food, you're better off than eating a bunch of processed stuff, right? Okay, so that's going to be nutrient quality. Refer back to this if you need. If you have questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys in the next video.